a slow roller. Going to be a tough play. Hunsley, bare hands on the bounce and throw. He got him. What a play from Grayson Hunsley on the bare hand.
It's time for Post 8 Baseball on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. Post 8 Baseball is brought to you by Comtech, True Green Camelon, Edward Jones Financial, Overhead Door, Todd's Electric, Shane's Pharmacy, Jaeger, AGE, First Fidelity, and State Farm Becky Potsuba Agency.
This will be flown out by Charlie Simpson out to left field. Going back, it is gone! Charlie Simpson hits a two-run home run, and it's a 3-2 ball game.
Post 8 Baseball is also brought to you by Capital City Ford, Lincoln, and Toyota, Oahe Federal Credit Union, Missouri River Dentistry, Dakota Sprinkler and Landscaping, Agtegra, Farting Electric, Envirotech, and Kruger Climate Systems.
Here's a line shot out and towards left center field. Diving and making the catch out in center is Sun and Shine. And a tip of the cap from the head coach.
Post 8 Baseball is also brought to you by Stalkin Peterson LLP, Wagner Auto, the South Dakota Office of Attorney General Division of Consumer Protection, Gales Gas, First United Methodist Church, Karsten Erickson Roofing and Construction, Beck Motors, and May Adam.
Gets with a fly ball to left field. That one is going back to the wall. It's out of here. A 3-run homer for Dawson Getz. And it's a 4-0 lead for the Eights.
And by American Family Insurance Brittany Schaffelbein Agency, Lamb Motors, Bank West, CHS River Plains, Faith Lutheran Church, Graham Tire, Kathy's Sun and Shine Properties, Venture Communications, and the American of Fort Pierre. And now, Post 8 Baseball on KCCR.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another special edition of Post 8 Baseball on KCCR. Dylan Simmons with you on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon in the capital city, and we are just about set for doubleheader baseball action as your Post 8 baseball team hosts Sioux Falls West, their first home games in over a month. The last time Post 8 played here was against Brookings way back on May 29th. They went the entire month of June without a single home game, but the time has come once again to take the field at Hyde Stadium, and Post 8 is certainly ready to do so. Again, Dylan Simmons on the call with you, looking forward to two great games between Post 8 and Sioux Falls West. Pierre enters today with a record of 12-9 overall, Sioux Falls West at 11-16. An interesting development that we learned just today, as a matter of fact, over at KCCR. Post 8 was awarded 4 forfeit wins due to the games they did not play against Sturgis that would have been here at Hyde Stadium as well as at Sturgis. So Post 8's record goes from 8-9 to 12-9, and from 4-7 in South Dakota play to 8-7. It doesn't help them out in the standings, but it does give them a little extra leverage if need be. Sioux Falls West, again, 11-16 overall, 4-9 in South Dakota play. They've played a couple of common opponents that Post 8 has also played, those being Spearfish among one of those, who they ended up losing to earlier this year 6-2. They also played Harrisburg in a doubleheader of their own. They lost those games 2-3 and 1-11. Post 8 entering with the 12-9 record overall, last playing against Harrisburg in that doubleheader just over a week ago on the road. Before that, they were on the road again against Renner in a split doubleheader. And then before that, they played the Dickinson Rough Riders and Spearfish, of course, on the road as well. So it's been a lot of road action for Post 8, getting a chance to come back home in front of their home crowd, and that should make for a little extra incentive to come out of here with a couple of victories today. It's also the first 5 p.m. start they've had in some time. Most of the games recently have been starting or getting underway, around 4 or 3 p.m. So from that end, this is a little bit different. Post 8 Next playing Aberdeen on the road tomorrow before playing Post 320 at home next week. So they've got a pretty busy slate after their week off starting today. And really, at this point in time, with 4 of their last 6 doubleheaders at home, the opportunity to strike with the postseason looming is now. So we'll see soon enough what Post 8 is able to do. We're going to take a quick timeout. We'll be back in 2 minutes with starting lineups as Pierre, Post 8, takes on Sioux Falls West right here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. Don't touch that dial, folks. We will be back in 2 minutes. Want technology solutions you can trust from a neighbor you know? Comtech, locally owned and serving Pierre and surrounding area since 2009, is dedicated to keeping your home, farm, and business connected and secure. We offer a full range of services, from audio and video, security, surveillance, and networking with expert installation and support. Visit our storefront, call us at 605-224-4066, or visit our website, comtechplus.com, to experience the Comtech difference. Comtech, your local technology experts.
Hey, yo, Speedo's Lawn Care.
Hello. Say, my yard's in rough shape. It's got weeds, brown spots, and crabgrass.
Yeah, no problemo. What shade of green you need? We got 31 shades of green over here. The latest shade of septic tank grass green. That one just naturally gives off a glow.
Call the professionals at True Green. They know how to get your lawn healthy and keep it healthy. They guarantee it. All technicians are trained and certified.
Call True Green, 224-1916.
When you're looking for quality trash pickup services, look no further than Envirotech. 6 days a week, their trucks are on the road picking up trash, even holidays. They're also the place to contact for recycling services. Their friendly, professional staff is ready to assist with weekly pickups or even special pickups. Check out the website at envirotechwaste.com. Envirotech is locally operated. Call 224-4804. Envirotech Waste Services in Pierre, proud to support high school athletics.
When life throws you a curveball, May Adam Law Firm in Pierre is here to help you knock it out of the park. For over 130 years, we've been providing trusted legal expertise in business, family law, criminal defense, and more. Proud sponsors of this season's baseball action, we're committed to serving our community both on and off the field. Need legal advice? Step up to the plate with May Adam Law Firm. Visit mayadam.net or call today. May Adam, South Dakota's law firm since 1881. Welcome back to Post 8 Baseball on KCCR. Dylan Simmons with you on this beautiful Tuesday evening in the capital city. Just about set for first pitch between Pierre and Sioux Falls West. We'll go over the starting lineups for both sides in just a second. If you're listening in on radio, Pierre wearing their black shirts with white pants today. And meanwhile, Sioux Falls West with navy blue uniforms and white pants as well. Pretty good uniform combination, and a lot of fans have made their way out here to Hyde Stadium for a little bit of a homecoming for this Post 8 baseball team. They're as good this year as they've been in a long while, and they are revved up and excited in their second year under River Iverson to show just how much they've learned. Strangely enough, because of their limited home schedule, they have not won a home game all season long. They would love to change that right here today against Sioux Falls West, a team that on paper they should be favored against, but as we've seen so many times in the game of baseball, that sometimes doesn't always materialize. So we'll see just how different it will get. Grayson Hunsley making his way out onto the playing surface. He'll be playing third base today. And the other Hunsley, Porter, will also be joining him. Sioux Falls West, meanwhile, Zach Evers, the head coach in his first season with Sioux Falls West. He has a lot of talent when it comes to the game of baseball. Formerly the head coach of the West junior team, took them to the state semifinals last year. Was also a 4-year member of the Briar Cliff baseball team in college. Let's now set it field side for opening ceremonies right here on KCCR.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last
And indeed, let's play ball right here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. This is KCCR Pierre, a Riverfront broadcasting station, as we've reached the top of the hour. Now it's time to go over the starting lineups for both teams. We will start with Sioux Falls West. They will be led off by Jackson Dunn. He will be the third baseman today. Ian Stokes is the catcher. Boston Bryant, the shortstop. Keep an eye on him, folks. He looks to be a critical piece, as he has been all season for Post 15. Mason Payne is in right field. Beckett Whitlock is the center fielder, batting fifth. Batting sixth is Jack Hilly, the left fielder. Batting seventh, the first baseman, Jackson Nordstrom. The DH, Chris Lowe, will be batting eighth, and Hugh Barnes, the second baseman, is batting ninth. Meanwhile, for your Post-8 baseball team, you've got Cooper Terwilliger taking his spot at first base. Carter Shufflebine is the second baseman, as per usual. Dawson Getz will be at short today. Grayson Hunsley in his customary spot at third base. Trevor Rounds in left field. Porter Hunsley in center field. Sutton Sunshine in right field. Charlie Simpson is the backstop. And on the mound, J.J. Buckholz, who's arguably been the best pitcher for Post-8 this season, or at the very least, maybe the most consistent pitcher. 22 innings pitched on the year, 4 games started, 2 complete game shutouts, 4 earned runs given up all season long, the best ERA on the team at 1.27. And he's got a chance to add to that against a Sioux Falls West team that has struggled, to be fair, offensively at points this season. So we'll see if Buckholz will feast on a big meal provided by Sioux Falls West bats today, or if it'll be a completely different story. Jackson Dunn will make his way to the plate, and we are just about set to get this show on the road. It is great to have Post-8 baseball back here at Hyde Stadium, and let's hope the wait is worth it. Buckholz fires it in, and we're underway. Breaking pitch is outside. Count goes to 1-0. Pierre Post-8 still feeling the whiplash to some degree of those losses that they faced against Harrisburg on the road, as there's a strike from Buckholz, bringing the count to 1-1. You never want to lose a baseball game, obviously, but those kinds of losses, especially after you've been on a bit of a run, can sometimes leave a bad taste in your mouth, and how you respond the next game says a lot. Count goes to 1-2 on that foul ball. One thing Post-8 has been able to do this season is respond when the situation calls for it. And they'll look to do that again today against Sioux Falls West. Here's a bouncing ball right up the middle for a base hit, and Jackson Dunn got himself on first base with a leadoff single. Didn't take long for the third baseman to immediately capitalize on a J.J. Buckholz pitch, and one is aboard for Sioux Falls West here in the top half of the first inning. And it's not often you see J.J. Buckholz give up an early hit like that, but one thing that Sioux Falls West has in Jackson Dunn is a very solid and very consistent hitter. That's why he's at the top of the lineup. Ian Stokes will be the next man up. Pitch is outside from Buckholz, counts 1-0, and now he's got an added element. He's going to have to keep an eye on Jackson Dunn over at first base. Zach Evers has raved about Ian Stokes this year. He says that he is certainly one of the leaders of this team. And that leadership and veteran presence can certainly be huge. Count goes to 1-1 in situations like this, and if the team is struggling. Played last year for Sioux Falls West, had a 171 average, a 608 OPS. He shows bunt here, it bounces right to Buckholz. He throws to second to get the leadoff runner, and does. Safe at first base on a fielder's choice is Ian Stokes, but the leadoff runner, Jackson Dunn, taken out at second base. One down here in the top half of the first inning. So not the worst case scenario for J.J. Buckholz, although he has given up some contact. He was able to take out Jackson Dunn on a very smart play defensively that time. And good work as well by Carter Shufflebine and Dawson Getz to get towards second base and make sure that no further trouble was added to the situation. Here's a high fly ball deep to right field. Sutton Sunshine back at the track, does make the catch. And that was a needed one, because that ball was just traveling and traveling and traveling. Looked like Boston Bryant was about to send it all the way to the mighty Missouri, but instead it just stayed in the yard. And that's 2 away here in the top of the first. Didn't even get a chance to introduce Boston Bryant, but you will be introduced to him a lot in this game, folks. He is nothing short of sensational. Was one of the best batters for Sioux Falls Jefferson this past high school baseball season. Here's a ground ball to short. Throw to second in time for out number 3. They're able to get Ian Stokes, and that is 3 down here in the top half of the first inning. So Sioux Falls West is able to get 1 hit, but that's it. Post 8 keeps the score at 0-0. So far, so good for J.J. Buckholtz and company. Back in 1 minute's time, Post 8 will get a chance to show off their offensive skill right here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports.
With any dream, the wind won't always be at your back. The sun won't always be shining, and some rain is going to fall. American Family Insurance is like a good solid roof that you can trust to protect your biggest dreams. With plans that could save you up to 23% when you bundle your home and auto. Also, you can continue to dream fearlessly, no matter what comes your way. American Family Insurance.
Visit mfam.com to learn how discounts may apply to you. American Family Mutual Insurance Company assigned its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Contact the Brittany Shufflebind Agency, LLC, 224-6627.
Looking for your next new or used car, truck, or SUV? Then go no further than the comfort of your own home. Shop online at lambmotor.com. On lambmotor.com, you'll find the vehicles Lambs has in stock. You can schedule a test drive or your vehicle's next tune-up, all online. New or used, shop for it all online, anywhere you are. Lamb Motor has the right vehicle for you. Lamb Motor in Oneida and online, lambmotor.com.
Welcome back to Post 8 Baseball on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. As always, our scoreboard is courtesy of the American Family Insurance Brittany Shufflebind Agency. Thank you, Brittany and American Family Insurance, for sponsoring our scoreboard each and every game. Score knotted up at 0 between Post 8 and Sioux Falls West. Now we'll get our first look at the Pierre bats. Carter Shufflebind will be leading things off, and folks, he has been a dynamo this season. .295 batting average, 7 RBIs, 12 runs. Doesn't have the most RBIs or the best batting average on this team or even the most hits, but he does not have to lead any stat category to make his presence felt. And against every opponent that Post 8 has played this year, he has made an impact in one way or another. That's why most of the time he ends up being the leadoff hitter for Post 8, as he's going to be for this game. And on the first day of July, he wants to make a big splash. Shufflebind will be followed by Sutton Sunshine and Dawson Getz at the top of the order. This pitch comes in high. Count goes to 1-0. It'll be Shufflebind, Sutton Sunshine, Dawson Getz batting third, Cooper Terwilliger batting fourth, Charlie Simpson batting fifth, Ridge Linebach batting sixth, Grayson Hunsley 7th, Porter Hunsley 8th, and Trevor Rounds 9th as that gets in for a strike. Counts 1-1. Defensive alignment for Sioux Falls West. You've got Jackson Dunn, the third baseman. Jack Hillies in left field. Beckett Whitlock is in center field. Mason Payne right. Hugh Barnes is the second baseman. Boston Bryant the shortstop. Jackson Nordstrom the first baseman. Ian Stokes the catcher. And Caden Voss is the man on the mound. Foul ball there by Shufflebind. Count goes to 1-2. Voss did not play last year for Sioux Falls West. A lot of the players for Sioux Falls West are new under the first-year head coach Zach Evers, as the count goes to 2-2. And all of them from Sioux Falls area affiliated high schools. 2-2 pitch is low and in the dirt. Count is going to go full for Shufflebind. You've got a few from Jefferson, a few from Roosevelt, and a couple from O'Gorman. Payoff pitch on the way. Here's a bouncing ball to short. Bryant is there. Boston Bryant gets it on to first for a 6-3 and out number 1. So a nice job by Boston Bryant to handle that baseball. Took a little bit of an odd hop over on the left side of the diamond, but it was no issue for Bryant. That sends on Sutton Sunshine, the right fielder. And Sutton has been Mr. Consistency thus far this year, a .368 batting average. That is second on the team. 21 hits, which leads the team, and he sends a ground ball to Bryant, who will hardly have to move to get it over to first as he just throws off his back foot and gets out number 2. But as I was saying, Sutton Sun and Shine, for the most part, has been Mr. Consistency this season. Didn't get all of that baseball, but rest assured he'll get another chance later. So Dawson Getz comes to the plate, the shortstop, looking to do what Shufflebine and Sun and Shine were unable to in their first at-bats, and that's get a clean hit here. Lets that go by for a strike, counts 0-1. Dawson Getz does have the best batting average on the team at .381. He's played in 13 games this year, 12 RBIs, 10 runs, and 16 total hits. Lets this pitch go by, and the count evens at 1 ball and 1 strike. He's also had 6 2/3 innings pitched on the year, although it's been a while since he's done it. Here's a line shot into left center field that gets down in front of Beckett Whitlock for a base hit. So Dawson Getz is able to find his way on to first with a nice 2-out single here in the bottom half of the first inning. And Post 8 has a hit on the board for the first time in this game. That'll send on the man they call Coop. Cooper Terwilliger, that is. Cleanup man in the order for Post 8. Tied with Getz for total batting average at .381. So actually there's a tie for the overall best on Post 8. And he's going to send a line shot into right field for a base hit. Getz is making his way over to third. The throw will never make it in time, and Cooper Terwilliger is over at first safe with 2 straight singles for Post 8. So runners in the corners for Post 8, both of them coming on 2 outs, and Pierre is starting to clean things up here in the bottom half of the first inning. So Charlie Simpson will come on. Terwilliger didn't even really give me much of a chance to give him a proper introduction, but there's no introduction needed when you can do things like that. And now Dawson Getz is 90 feet away from giving Post 8 the first run of this baseball game. Charlie Simpson has a chance to drive at least 1 run in right here. There's a strike, counts 0-1. First big test of the day for Caden Voss. But that's got to be a bit of whiplash for Voss in this Sioux Falls West Post 15 team. You think he got Post 8 on the ropes, and all of a sudden, 2 straight 2-out shots, and you're looking down the barrel of potentially giving up 2 runs. But Voss so far is stepping up, counts 0-2, as he's able to get a strike, trying to get his first K of the game and keep Sioux Falls West, out of a worrying situation. That pitch comes in high, and the count's 1-2. Post 8 10-30 a season ago. They've already elapsed that win total with their 12 so far this season. And we're just entering the month of July. So no hyperbole. The sky's the limit with this team. Another high fastball. Counts 2-2. The way things are shaping out, you get the feeling that this may be the year that Post 8 can make a legitimate run at the postseason, put themselves in a spot to contend. River Iverson has built this team up well in his second season. Here's a high chopper fouled to the right of the first base bag, and that'll keep the count at 2 balls, 2 strikes. As a team, Post 8 has a .311 batting average, 146 hits, 2 home runs, 13 triples, and 14 doubles. So it's interesting, they have almost the same amount of triples as they do doubles. They love triples on this Post 8 squad. They're not going to get one here as Simpson swings and misses, and Post 8 leaves 2 stranded despite 2 straight hits in the bottom half of the first. And that'll keep the score at 0-0 between Sioux Falls West and Post 8. We'll be back in 1 minute with Sioux Falls West up to bat right here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. Don't go anywhere, folks.
No one likes to have electrical problems, but when they happen, call Todd's Electric at 223-2518. With over 28 years of experience, Todd's Electric can handle any type of electrical problem, whether it's residential, commercial, or agricultural. Their knowledgeable staff knows and understands the importance of your home, business, or ag facility and are prepared to help. Call Todd's Electric at 223-2518. That's 223-2518. Todd's Electric, serving the Pierre and Fort Pierre areas. The line to power.
Ready to upgrade your ride this summer? At Beck Motor Company in Pierre, lease a brand new 2025 Cadillac XT5 for for as low as $4.99 a month with only $34.99 due at signing. Or lease a stylish 2025 Chevy Trailblazer LS for as little as $2.99 a month with only $38.99 due at signing. Hurry, these offers won't last. Visit Beck Motor Company on the Truck Bypass today or shop online at beckmotors.com. Plus tax, title, license, WAC. See dealer for details.
Welcome back to post-state baseball on KCCR. Got a little chicken fried with the Zach Brown band blaring over the loudspeakers here at Hyde Stadium. It is a beautiful day in central South Dakota. Glad you're joining us right here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. Score currently tied 0-0 between Sioux Falls West and Pierre Post 8. Both teams had a couple of bright spots in the first inning. Post 8 got really close with a runner all the way to third and 2 hits, but were unable to capitalize. And now J.J. Buchholz will get his first look at Beckett Whitlock, the number 5 man in the order, and another lefty. Second one that we've seen from Sioux Falls West so far, counts 1-0, Boston Bryant being the other. Here is a fly ball into center. Should be easy pickings for Hunsley as it hangs up for a while, and Hunsley camps under it to make the catch for out number 1. No problem for Pierre Post 8, who as a team pitching-wise has 85 strikeouts, 114 hits given up, 22 hit-by pitches, and a team ERA of 4.59. So it's not quite elite tier, but it hasn't been bad either. The one thing about this Post 8 team is Buchholz gets a strike is that they don't have any definitive weak spots, but they also don't have anything that they are just super spectacular in, and that may seem like a dig, but it really isn't. It's just the style they play in. They're a very well-rounded baseball team, and they can have any one particular unit really show out on a given day, but they can just as easily have one unit not play as well. And that's kind of the game you have to play in these spots. Counts 0-2, swing and a miss, and J.J. Buchholz gets his first K of the day. Able to take out Jack Hilly just like that after Whitlock flew out to center field, and that is 2 down very quickly here in the top half of the second inning. That is just what the doctor ordered after that disappointing end to the frame in the bottom of the first. Jackson Nordstrom to the plate, lets this pitch go by. It's a little outside, and the count's 1-0. The Oahe Zap have been here at Hyde Stadium quite a bit as of late, in the month of June especially. They'll be on the road for the next little bit. If I'm not mistaken, they're playing the Spearfish Sasquatch. So they'll stay in South Dakota, but just be a little bit out of the way. There's a strike, counts 2-1. But whether it's the Zap or Post 8, there's a lot of fun baseball action in the capital city right now. Summer is such a fun time here in Pierre. Pitch is high in the count, 3-1. Of course, this is July 4th week as well in the capital city, and a lot of big stuff coming up on Friday, including the Fort Pierre Parade, which you can find right here on KCCR. We're going to live stream it that day. There's a strike, counts 3-2. Fort Pierre fireworks show, rodeo, all kinds of fun stuff coming up. It's going to be a fun week. Payoff pitch with 2 outs. Here's a liner that gets down into left field for a base hit. So Jackson Nordstrom answers the call, and the first baseman has a 2-out single here in the top half of the second inning, and 1 aboard for Sioux Falls West. Both teams now with 2 hits total in this game, as Dunn and Nordstrom both with hits. It'll send on Chris Logue, the DH. Another lefty in the order, which Sioux Falls West has plenty of. This is a fly ball deep to right field, chasing after it, sun and shine, and that one is going to go out of here. Goodness gracious, it just kept carrying and carrying and carrying, and I think the wind may have caught it a little bit, and Chris Logue gets one out of the ballpark. A 2-run home run here in the top half of the second inning with 2 outs. Talk about a game-changing play. Chris Logue absolutely delivering that. He's able to score himself and Jackson Nordstrom, and Sioux Falls West goes on top by a score of 2-0.
Batting ninth, second baseman, number 15, Hugh Bornas.
Post State and Hyde Stadium, not usually a ballpark you see a lot of home runs, but right field has treated Sioux Falls West well today. And like we've said before, they've got a lot of lefty hitters, so it helps when you're in that kind of situation. Boston Bryant almost flew one out earlier. Here's a drive into right, and that'll be easily caught by Sutton Sunshine for out number 3. Sends us to the bottom of the second, but a big, big 2-run home run from Chris Lowe completely changes the game. Sioux Falls West on top by a score of 2-0. We'll be back in 1 minute right here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. Don't touch that dial, folks.
Stolken Peterson LLP has been your local CPA firm for over 40 years, offering tax preparation, bookkeeping, payroll, and consulting services. If your business, farm, or ranch needs professional, accurate, and reliable services, we are your firm. Our clients are our #1 priority. If you need a higher level of accounting service, give us a call at 605-224-5828. That's Stolken Peterson LLP, 222 East Missouri Avenue in Pierre.
Swing for the fences with a great deal from Capital City Ford Lincoln Toyota in Pierre. Whether you need a powerful truck, a fuel-efficient sedan, or a spacious SUV, they've got the perfect lineup to keep you on the road and in the game. Don't strike out. Stop by today or visit CapitalCityFordToyota.com. Capital City Ford Lincoln Toyota, where the best deals in town are always in play. Well, if you need more post-state baseball in your life, there's going to be another doubleheader coming up tomorrow as post-state hits the road. They'll take on Aberdeen. John Winkler, the one and only, will be on the call for that game, scheduled to start at 4 p.m. Central. But we are far from done here this evening between Pierre and Sioux Falls West, as Ridge Lineback will lead things off. Post-state down by a score of 2-0 after a 2-run dinger was secured by Jackson Nordstrom. Lineback lets a pitch go by, and the count goes to 1-0. Or Chris Logue, rather, had the 2-run home run. Nordstrom set them up with a single, as the count's going to be 2-0 after that last ball. No, they will say 1-1. My apologies. Ridge Lineback, if there's one guy who can start to get things turned around for Pierre, it's certainly him. And Post State was on the doorstep of putting a couple runs on the board in the bottom of the first. Ended up getting stuck by a strikeout from Charlie Simpson. This pitch is a little wide, and the count's 3-1. Caden Voss was able to rebound after giving up a couple of 2-out singles to Dawson Getz and Cooper Terwilliger. But he has not played a beast like Lineback. Lineback lets that go by. And that should be ball 4, and it is. So a little bit of a delayed reaction. I don't even know if Lineback knew it was ball 4, but he eventually did, and he's going to take his freebie over at first base. And Post State has a runner aboard to lead things off in the bottom of the second. So Grayson Hunsley will make his way to the plate. He's been getting better and better at the third base spot this season. One of those players that just continues to show tremendous development and has gotten better at the plate too. 205 average this year, 4 RBIs, 8 runs. A little bit less so than what he did a season ago so far. Going to show bunt here and foul it back. Counts 0-1. Good news for him is he's still got a lot more time to bump those stats up. And being at Hyde Stadium a lot to end out the year should hopefully help with that. It is a hot day in the capital city. The wind is around but somewhat minimal compared to what it can be. Expected to reach 94 degrees today. And this is going to be, ironically enough, one of the cooler days of the week. That ball's popped up and fouled and caught immediately by the catcher. The backstop, Ian Stokes, is right there. So that was a disaster of a play, and it's out number 1 on Post 8. Hunsley was trying to get the bunt down. He popped it up the first time he tried it as well, and the second time he was not bailed out. So Porter Hunsley will make his way to the plate with 1 away and a runner on first here in the bottom of the second. And they may be a little more reluctant to try the bunt now. We'll see what Hunsley wants to do. He lets this pitch go by. Counts 1-0. Sioux Falls West will get a 6-day break before their next games. They'll be playing Post 15 East on the road in a intercity matchup before then heading to Brandon Valley the very next day. That's in for a strike. Counts 1-1. Apologies, those games are actually the same day. Their next home game will be against Post 74. But Sioux Falls West, unlike Post 8, will have a little bit more of a break after today. This ball's popped up, flying towards our press box, and it's going to land just in front of the glass here at Hyde Stadium. It's foul ball, and the count's 1-2. Meanwhile, Post 8 with tomorrow's doubleheader against Aberdeen on the road. That makes things a bit more difficult for River Iverson because you got to find a way to conserve your arms. Luckily, you've got everybody available today. That should help you out to some degree. This ball popped up by Hunsley. Stays in the infield, and the third baseman, Jackson Dunn, is there to make the catch for out 2. So Post 8 just hasn't been able to really get a handle on the baseball here in the bottom of the second. Leinbach got the walk, but nobody able to get a hit yet. Trevor Rounds will be the next man up, the number 9 man in the order. Left fielder for Post 8 today. Trevor Rounds with a .312 average on the season, 3 RBIs and 5 runs, has played in 10 games. That pitch comes in for a strike, and the count's 0-1. And Rounds has been a sneaky good player. Doesn't light up the stat sheet maybe as much as other players, but he's had games where he's just taken over. Swing and a miss, counts 0-2. And it's those kinds of players in moments where maybe your usual stalwarts aren't doing the best that you're glad to have. We'll see if he becomes a big factor later on. Count stays at 0-2. Here's a liner towards right that is going to be caught over the shoulder by Mason. Oh, he did drop it. Mason Payne dropped the baseball. Thought for sure he caught it. And instead, Post 8's got runners on second and third. I turned away because I thought for sure he had it in his glove, and I guess he just lost control of the baseball. I was already going down to right down the out, and instead he drops the ball. Trevor Rounds gets on to second. He'll be credited at least with for the moment with a double, and Post 8 with 2 aboard. So how about that to completely change things up here in this bottom half of the second? That's usually a pretty routine catch in the outfield. Wasn't the easiest in the world, but seemed like one that Mason Payne had a pretty good handle on, and instead he couldn't secure it. So we go back to the top of the order, and now things have completely changed with Carter Shufflebine at the plate. And that's in for a strike, counts 0-1. So that's a situation where don't count your eggs before they hatch. Fooled me, thought for sure Payne was going to be able to bring it in, and he was not. The 0-1, almost in the dirt, counts 1-1. So now if you're Caden Voss, you've got to be a bit more careful because you don't have nearly as much leeway as you just did a second ago. You've got Leinbach at third and Porter Hunsley, or check it, Trevor Rounds at second. You don't have a lot of wiggle room to work with here. There's a strike. That'll bring the count to 1-2. But Voss has been able to step up previously in this game in a similar spot. Had 2 runners on base in the bottom of the first with 2 outs and got his team out of a jam. But he's not going to be able to this time as the ball gets away, and the runner scores for Post 8 as Ridge Leinbach comes home on the wild pitch. And Post 8 has made it a 2-1 baseball game. Advancing to third is Trevor Rounds with 2 away. So that's the one thing that you really didn't want in that situation, was to give up a wild pitch and a free run, and that's what Caden Voss just did. Now Shufflebine has the tying run 90 feet away from home plate. He let that one go by for a strike, and that is out number 3. So Post 8 kind of misses on the opportunity, but they are able to put 1 run on the scoreboard. Ridge Leinbach comes home on a wild pitch, and it's a 2-1 baseball game here in Pierre. Back in 1 minute, right here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports.
Building a home. It's the biggest investment most of us make in a lifetime. Not to mention, it's a decision that, well, you pretty much live with day and night. The quality of the workmanship stares back at you like a reflection. It also affects the value of your investment. Choosing the right contractor is critical. Kruger Contracting is that contractor. Call 222-2523. Quality workmanship and materials completed on time. Kruger Contracting. In a word, quality. Call 222-2523.
Becky Potsaba and State Farm Insurance are here to help you with your insurance and banking needs. State Farm's not just insurance. It's banking, investments, IRAs, loans, and a whole lot more. We offer guidance in a personal and caring way that helps you manage the risks of everyday life, recover from the unexpected, and find ways to control costs so you can realize your dreams. We know how life is, and we're here for you. Stop in to see Becky at 1315 East Wells Avenue in Pierre, or call Becky at 224-4173.
Welcome back to Post 8 Baseball on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. This is Dylan Simmons on the call with you on this Tuesday evening. Sioux Falls West on top of Pierre Post 8 by a score of 2-1, thanks to the Brittany Shufflebine American Family Insurance scoreboard. That pitch comes in low, counts 1-0 for Jackson Dunn as he makes his way to the plate. We're back to the top of the order for Sioux Falls West. Here is a fly ball that's going to be out of here, but not out of here, if you know what I mean. Counts 1-1. It's a foul ball that went over the fence. And the count, 1 ball, 1 strike. Dunn, Stokes, and Boston Bryant to lead off this frame. The game-changing play so far. 2-run home run from Chris Logue in the top of the second. That's what has Sioux Falls West the advantage. Otherwise, it's pretty fair to say Post 8 has been in control for the most part. They've seemingly had more consistent bats, but sometimes it only takes one little stretch to completely flip a game. Count 3-1, and that can work both ways. Fastball, swing and a miss. Great stuff from J.J. Buchholz, and the count's 3-2. Buchholz with 1 strikeout so far, that coming against Jack Hilly. Payoff pitch, and he put it in there perfectly. Buchholz paints the corner well and gets done looking for a second K of the game. 4 total strikeouts between Caden Voss and J.J. Buchholz so far in this evening's action. Able to get the K on the leadoff hitter. That'll send on Ian Stokes. Sioux Falls West in those nice navy blue uniforms today. They've got orange lettering on their logos, so blue is not a color that you'd expect them to go to, but it works well for them. Counts 1-0. Post 8, of course, played Sioux Falls East on the road earlier this season. Split that doubleheader. Got their first win of the season, as a matter of fact, against Sioux Falls East. First game of that set went to extra innings. Post 8 lost on a walk-off single. Count 3-0 for Buchholz here, in danger of issuing his first walk of the game. Just able to fit that one in the bottom part of the zone for a strike. And the count moves to 3-1. Buchholz with 12 Ks, usually doesn't get a lot of strikeouts. Here's a fly ball into shallow center. Popped up and caught by Carter Shufflebine for out number 2. Good work by Shufflebine, and a nice job of the Post 8 players to not all run after that baseball. Such an easy mistake to make, especially when you're younger like that. And you've learned the fundamentals of baseball, but sometimes stuff like that doesn't entirely sink in. But Post 8 was great with communication that time, and you can see the results of what River Iverson's been trying to instill in them. Bryant fouls this one back, counts 0-1. Of course, Iverson far from the first coach, I'm sure, to teach them that. But you just always appreciate the little things when it comes to any form of baseball. Even in the majors, sometimes you see a goof up like that. Communication is the key, especially when you're playing defense. This ball popped up. It's going to land on the roof of the Sioux Falls West dugout, and the count's 0-2. West 11-16 overall this season. 4-9 in South Dakota play. coming off a 19-31 record a year ago, a 1-5 finish to the season. Not what they wanted, and it was certainly a disappointing end of the year. This ball flied out to right field and caught by Sutton Sunshine, who did a great job to come up to that baseball and locate it for out 3. That takes us to the bottom of the third with your score still, Sioux Falls West 2, Pierre 1. We'll see if Post 8 can match the score in just a minute right here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports.
Is it the competition that keeps bringing you back? The long-standing rivalries? Or is it seeing friends again and cheering on your favorite team? At First Dakota, we're here for it all. We appreciate the fans, the players, the coaches and officials, the concessions crew. The shared community experience is part of what makes life here great, and we're here for it. See you at the game. First Dakota National Bank, member FDIC.
Venture Communications has deep roots in rural South Dakota. Venture now proudly provides fiber to the home with 100% of our customers, enabling them to enjoy super fast and reliable internet connections. We'd like the opportunity to keep you in touch with the people and resources that matter most. 100% fiber and 100% committed to rural South Dakota. Call Venture Communications today at 605-852-2224, 605-852-2224, or online at venturecom.net.
Welcome back to Post 8 Baseball on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. Yours truly, Dylan Simmons, on the call with you this Tuesday evening. Score is 2-1 with Sioux Falls West on top of Pierre. Post 8, Sutton Sunshine making his way to the plate. 2-3-4 due up in the order for Pierre as they look to overcome this deficit in game number 1 against Sioux Falls West, who's traveled 3 hours from East River. As the count goes to 0-1. Okay, technically we are still in East River here in Pierre. I don't really consider it part of East River or West River for that matter. I think Pierre is just kind of its own place. That goes for a strike. It's a nexus point, I think is a good way to describe it. That's why it's the state capital. Counts 0-2, and right now you could argue it may be the capital of the South Dakota baseball world here this evening. That pitch comes in high and the count's 1-2. Sutton with a .368 average on the season, 12 RBIs, 13 runs, 21 hits, and a double for good measure. Lets that pitch come in low. It's in the dirt. Counts 2-2. Post 8 put a run on the scoreboard in the bottom of the second on a wild pitch that scored Ridge Limbach. This ball popped up, and Sutton will send that one screaming towards the state capitol. Keep the count at 2-2. Lots of tourists making their way to Pierre this weekend, as you could imagine, with the 4th of July festivities. So as that one comes in high for a strike, that is going to be out number 1. Sutton Sunshine let it go by and caught looking against Caden Voss. That's his 3rd K and his 2nd straight strikeout. Got shuffle bind to end the bottom of the 2nd and gets Sutton to start the bottom of the 3rd. So Dawson Getz will be the next man up. He was the first Post 8 player to get a hit in this game on Voss. That coming in the bottom half of the 1st with a single. And he's going to make it 2 for 2 as he drives one into right center field. And Getz is not stopping. He wants second. This is going to be tight, and he's safe. Dawson Getz just able to fly his way to second base as he was sliding with all of his might. Looked for a second like the relay from Beckett Whitlock was going to make it in time, but not quite. And Getz is able to get the 1-out double here in the bottom of the 3rd. So now Coop will be his next man up. Next man up in the order with a single thus far already on the game. And a runner in scoring position here. The tying run is at second base for Pierre. Getz looking to be sprung home. Terwilliger lets this off-speed pitch come in, and the count's 0-1. Post 8 in total now with 3 or 4 hits, depending on who you ask. Either way, they've got very important hits that have put them in position in this game. Here's a ground ball that gets through the left side for a base hit. Getz is going to stop at third base smartly, and Terwilliger is able to make it 2 for 2 himself. Back-to-back singles, and Post 8 has runners in the corners once again, except this time with 1 out instead of 2. So Dawson Getz and Cooper Terwilliger already with a combined 4 hits in this game, and Charlie Simpson, he may just be the man for the job to tie this game. Struck out swinging his first time up, but Chuck is ready for a rebound. Dawson gets 90 feet away from tying this game. Voss sends it in, and the pitch is high for ball 1. Counts 1-0. The key is for Simpson, you don't want to get too aggressive. Don't try to get too impatient trying to tie this game. Just play your usual brand of baseball. There's a strike, counts 1-1. Caden Voss, more often than not in these situations, has been able to answer the call against Post 8, at least so far in this game. Whether or not he'll be able to do that again is a whole nother question entirely. Here's a throw to second, and the ball gets into center field, and Dawson Getz says, thank you very much, I'll come right home and score. And we are all knotted up at 2 runs apiece. They tried the pickoff on the stolen base attempt on Cooper Terwilliger, and it ended up costing them. Post 8 now the runner at second, and a tie game at 2 runs. Count is 1-1, or rather 1-2, and that is what you got to be careful of if you're Sioux Falls West and Caden Voss, as well as Ian Stokes, is a situation just like that where you get too overeager. It may have even been a double steal attempt, but we'll never know for sure because the ball ended up screaming its way into center field, and it just made it easy for Dawson Getz. So the count's 2-2. Terwilliger in scoring position, makes his way back to second as Voss checked him for a moment. So that takes a lot of the pressure off Charlie Simpson. You don't have to worry about being behind in this game now. It's already tied. All you've got to do is just answer the call. He checked a swing. That is ball 3. I don't know what Simpson's argument is here. I think he thinks that it was ball 4. Either that or I don't think he's arguing it would be a hit by pitch because it didn't look like it was anywhere close to hitting him. And the umpire says, yeah, you got to get back to home plate. So Simpson may have just lost track of the count. We do know for sure it's at 3-2, so Simpson will have to try again, but the umpires did want to double check, and understandably so. So a payoff pitch with 1 out for Simpson. And now he's got no concern because that is ball 4. And he'll make his way on to first base. Runners on first and second for Post 8. Second walk forced by Pierre in this game. The man who got the first is the man at the plate here, Reg Leimbach. And all of a sudden, a Post 8 team that was shell-shocked after that 2-run home run by Sioux Falls West in the top of the second has a chance to start to gap Sioux Falls West with a couple of well-placed hits in this game. Here's a ground ball right side, chance to turn a double play for Sioux Falls West, and they do. A 4-6-3 double play. Or no, they're going to say that Leimbach was safe at first base. My apologies, thought he got him. But they're going to rule that that is not the case. So instead, Leimbach gets on to first with a fielder's choice. But they do get the runner at second base for Post 8. So Charlie Simpson is retired. Cooper Terwilliger moves on to third. Leimbach is at first with Grayson Hunsley at the plate. 2 away. So a couple of calls that I thought for sure would go another way. Not that I'm complaining for Post 8. Now moving on to second is Leimbach, and the ball bounced off of a Sioux Falls West player. Terwilliger's going to come home, and Post 8 has taken the lead. 3-2 Pierre again. A Post 8 player trying to steal second base ends up bringing in a run for Pierre as Sioux Falls West, and Ian Stokes puts it into center field, and Pierre makes him pay. That's the second time that's happened in the bottom half of the third inning, and That's got to be getting old for Sioux Falls West and their fans and the players as the count's at 0-1. Make it 0-2. Those are just self-inflicted mistakes. In fact, all of Pierre's runs have come off of mistakes from Sioux Falls West. A wild pitch and now 2 mismanaged pickoff attempts that have scored these 3 runs for Pierre. And you've got another runner at third base with Grayson Hunsley at the plate, and the count at 1-2. Here's a ground ball that gets into left field, and another run's gonna score. Limebach comes home, and Grayson Hunsley has an RBI single, the first RBI for Post 8 in the game, and Pierre is on top by a score of 4-2. So they drained the bases of all those runners they had in the early part of this third inning, able to cash in on all of them. And Post 8 has now scored 3 unanswered on Sioux Falls West. As here's a bouncing ball on the left side, throw to first will be in time. So that attempt from Porter Hunsley goes awry, but that'll do it for this bottom half of the third inning. Your score 4-2. Pierre on top of Sioux Falls West, able to capitalize on Sioux Falls West mistakes and get an RBI single from Grayson Hunsley. Back in 1 minute for the fourth, right here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports.
At Shane's Pharmacy, your health care is important, and Shane wants to be the pharmacist to take care of you. Shane's Pharmacy will make sure your prescriptions are filled in a timely manner, they will answer your questions, and they will even deliver to your home or office. Call 223-9200. Shane's Pharmacy, the pharmacy you know and trust. The number again is 223-9200. Shane's Pharmacy in Fort Pierre, proud to support high school athletics.
Happy 4th of July from your friends at Capital City Ford, Lincoln, and Toyota in Pierre. This Independence Day, we're celebrating freedom, family, and fantastic deals on the vehicles you love. From sleek sedans to powerful trucks and adventure-ready SUVs, we've got something for every road trip, parade, and fireworks show. Stop by, take a test drive, and let's make this summer one to remember. Capital City Ford, Lincoln, and Toyota. Proud to serve the heart of South Dakota. Happy 4th of July. Happy 4th of July, indeed. Happy Independence Week right here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. It is a happy, happy, happy time, as Phil Robertson would say, for the Pierre Post 8 baseball team here at home. They're on top 4-2 in game number 1 against Sioux Falls West. J.J. Buchholz firing in an off-speed pitch, counts 1-0. Mason Payne, the number 4 man in the order, is the man at the plate. Post 8 putting up 3 runs in the bottom half of the third inning. That pitch is high and the count's 2-0. Sioux Falls West by themselves brought in a couple of Pierre runs off of off-target pickoff attempts at second base. Swing and a miss, counts 2-1. And then Grayson Hunsley got the RBI single to extend Post 8's lead. That was Hunsley's 5th RBI of the season. That pitch is wide and the count's 3-1. These two teams don't often play each other, at least historically. Most of the time they play every 2 or 3 years. Swing and a miss, counts 3-2. Post 8, by the time that today's over, can say they have played Sioux Falls East and Sioux Falls West this season. A lot more of a South Dakota emphasis to the schedule this year, which can certainly help get you ready for the postseason if you make it, and that is going to be ruled as ball 4. It's the first walk that J.J. Buchholz has issued today, and it's on Mason Payne. So he'll make his way to first with a leadoff walk and no outs in the top half of the 4th inning. It'll send on Beckett Whitlock. So a rare mistake from Buchholz, who's usually pretty good about avoiding those walks. Unable to that time. That pitch comes in for a strike, counts 0-1. Sioux Falls West, thus far this season, has scored double-digit runs a total of 5 times. Much like Pierre, they don't really have a definitive best unit of baseball. They play pretty solid both offensively and defensively, or at least about even to each other. That pitch is low for a count at 1-1. So with that kind of balance, it's tough to identify exactly how you approach a team like that, but Post State certainly has plenty of methods, and they've used those today. If there's one thing that Pierre's had that Sioux Falls West hasn't so far, it's been discipline. And that instilled discipline for Post State and somewhat lack of it for Sioux Falls West, for lack of a better term, has cost them on occasion. Off speed by Buckholz. Breaking ball is going to be ruled high, and the count is at 3-1. Reminder, directly after this game is over, we will have post-game coverage on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports with our KCCR Sports post-game show, and that's ball 4. 5-pitch walk for Buckholz. 2 straight walks issued in the top of the 4th. 1 to Payne and 1 to Beckett Whitlock. And we're going to see the catcher for Pierre, Charlie Simpson, have a quick conversation with Buckholz, trying to get things aligned again. Of course, River Iverson has a lot of trust in Buckholz, and I doubt that he's going to get too concerned in this situation. But you do want to make extra special sure that you're not making this any worse than what it is, because Sioux Falls West has the tying run now at first base. So you can't be too careful if you're Post State. River Iverson's seen a lot of baseball in his time. Former Post State player himself, played through the 2020 season, has been coaching for Post State since 2021. Dealt with a lot of injuries and close losses last year. They've made such significant strides in 2025 to overcome that. Pitch is high by Buckholz, counts 1-0. They've become a much better baseball team as a result, and a team that can really beat any opponent in South Dakota on any given day. So it makes this team so much fun to watch. Counts 1-1 as Buckholz puts in a strike, but conversely, they can also lose to teams sometimes that you wouldn't expect them to lose to, or lose games that they really shouldn't lose. Their 12-9 record is impressive, but you could argue that it could be a lot better right now if they had some games go their way. A lot of close losses in that win-loss column. That's fouled back, counts 1-2. Those are the kinds of things that in the month of July that Post State will want to get shored up for the rest of the season before they head for the Legion Regions and the Legion State Tournament. Count 1-2. 4 hits for Pierre, 2 for Sioux Falls West so far, and there is a big-time strikeout for J.J. Buckholz. That'll be J.J.'s 3rd K and 1 away here in the top half of the 4th inning. Jackson Nordstrom will be the next man up, but that is a huge K to get things rolling for Buckholz. Maybe that will recapture the form that he had earlier as he takes out Jack Hilly. Second time he's been struck out in this game. Nordstrom to the plate, the lefty batter lets a low breaking ball come in for a strike, and the count's 0-1. Chris Logue is the man on deck who got a 2-run home run his last time up. The lone 2 runs that Sioux Falls West has scored so far. Pitch is high, and the count's 1-1. Or did Logue call time there? No, he did not. Count is 1-1. In the daylight, those Sioux Falls West uniforms almost look purple from a certain vantage point, but I could be colorblind. Always did have an issue with stuff like that. Counts 1-1. That's in for a strike. Counts 1-2. Nice work by Buckholz. He continues to dial in that breaking ball. It's been getting more and more consistent as this game has moved on, and you can tell Buckholz is starting to feel it just a little bit more. Swing and a miss. 2 straight Ks for J.J. Buckholz. His 4th strikeout of the game overall. Got Hilly and he got Nordstrom. So Chris Logue will be the next man up. Runner still at 1st and 2nd for Sioux Falls West on walks, but what looked like a sure situation to at least make this a closer game or maybe even tie it up has gone awry for Sioux Falls West all of a sudden. And Buckholz and Pierre need just 1 more out to keep their 2-run lead intact and have a chance to add to it in the bottom half of this 4th inning. But it just takes 1 good shot here from Chris Logue, who's already got a 2-run home run, to completely flip that proposition on its head. And you got to imagine that Buckholz will be playing a little bit more cautiously from the mound with Logue in his sights. Counts 1-0. As a pitcher, that's the mental game that you've really got to be strong at. It's just putting a mistake like that behind you. But here's another high fly ball deep to right center field, back towards the wall. This one is going to land off of the wall and off of Porter Hunsley. One run's going to score. Here comes the second. It's in as well, and it is a 2-run RBI triple for Chris Logue, who is having a sensational outing here at Hyde Stadium. He now has 4 RBIs in this game alone, and he's done that in just 2 at-bats. What a sensational game for him, and what a shot that was into deep right center. It bounced off of Porter Hunsley, then off the base of the wall, and from then on it was Hunsley and Sonnenschein trying to dig that thing out and taking a while to do so. Counts 1-0, and Chris Logue just continues to show out. Here's a fly ball to center. Porter Hunsley's back. This will not be an issue for him this time on this fly ball from Barnes. He's retired, and that sends us on to the bottom half of the fourth. But Chris Logue has been a game changer. A 2-run RBI triple in the top half of the fourth. We are knotted up at 4 runs apiece. This one's getting good in the capital city. Back in 1 minute, right here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports.
You just got a quote from a company and are now being billed for not choosing them. Many contracts have what's referred to as a contingency agreement. These typically state that if you don't go with them, you, after insurance has approved the repair work, will be charged a percentage of the job they quoted. Ask up front if they charge to provide an estimate. Never sign anything that you haven't fully read or understand. If you have any questions, reach out to the South Dakota Office of Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division at 800-300-1986.
Summer is here, and Beck Motor Company is stepping up to the plate. As a proud supporter of Legion Baseball, we're hitting it out of the park with unbeatable deals on the Chevy and Cadillac vehicles. Whether you're looking for the power of a Chevy Silverado or the luxury of a Cadillac Escalade, Beck Motor Company has the perfect ride for you. So swing by today. Take your game and your drive to the next level. Beck Motor Company, your local Chevy and Cadillac dealer. Proud to support our youth and ready to put you behind the wheel of your dream vehicle. www.beck-motors.com, 605-224-5912.
Welcome back here to Post Day Baseball on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. KCCR is your home for all things Pierre Post 8. And right now we've got a good one here at home at Hyde Stadium. Ground ball to short, thrown on to first for a 6-3 putout on Trevor Rounds to get things rolling here in the bottom half of the fourth inning. If you're just joining us, it's been a fun one so far. 4-4 between these two baseball teams. Chris Logue for Sioux Falls West, who's been the MVP of this game, just answered the call with a 2-run triple in the top half of this inning to tie the game at 4 runs apiece, and now Pierre trying to do the same. Outside of Logue, Sioux Falls West has been scoreless. It's just been the Logue show. 4 RBIs already, a 2-run home run and a 2-run triple. This one fouled by Shufflebein, counts 0-1. Look for a second like Logue may have a multi-homer game, and he just missed having that. Otherwise, though, it's been pretty easy pickings for J.J. Buchholz and the rest of Pierre. But regardless, we've got a close game here at Hyde Stadium and a lot of time left. Shufflebein, high chopper to the left side. Thrown on to first by Jackson Dunn for a 5-3. And now 2 down just like that in the bottom of the fourth. Hasn't taken long for Sioux Falls West and Caden Voss to settle in this bottom half of the inning. And now you feel that momentum, which was firmly in Pierre's hands, has started to flip in a big way. And if you can't score any runs here, it'll throw some things into question. Ground ball to short. This will be easy for Bryant. Throws on to first, and that is out number 3. So 3 up, 3 down on Pierre Post 8 in the bottom of the fourth. And after that lightning fast frame, we're on to the top of the fifth. Score still 4-4 in Sioux Falls West with a chance to retake the lead. Back in 1 minute, right here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports.
Walking together in faith, living together in faith, working together in faith, that's who we are.
Hi, this is Pastor Sam Hanschke. I hope that our athletes have an excellent and successful season. I pray that God would continue to richly bless them. I invite you to join me in praying for our athletes during the year.
We're Faith Lutheran, and we are glad you're here.
Has it been years since you've been to the dentist? Are you afraid to see a dentist? If so, you are among many people who feel this way. Hi, I am Dr. Michelle Hofer of Missouri River Dentistry. At our office, we pride ourselves as an office that uses a personal touch to offer gentle dentistry, tailored to fit each patient's needs. We do so by utilizing state-of-the-art equipment and methods which allow the patients to feel comfortable. So whether it has been many years or 6 months since your last dental visit, your oral health is important. We invite you to call us at Missouri River Dentistry, 223-2021, 223-2021.
Welcome back to Post-Day Baseball on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. I'm going to try real quick to do something to the camera if you don't mind. There we go. Just wanted to make sure we got the catcher in. Not sure we'll be able to get the umpire into the frame, so notice that on the stream. Apologies for those listening in at home. Count goes to 1-0. Also heard there may be a bit of a volume issue, so we'll try to get that up just a hair so you folks can listen in well. Got a good one here at Hyde Stadium. Count is 2-0 as Pierre and Sioux Falls West face off against each other here in game number 1 of today's doubleheader. Here is a line shot to second and well, actually that was caught. My apologies. What a job by Carter Shufflebine. Thought it hit the ground for a second. I had my view kind of blocked by my camera here, so I couldn't exactly tell what happened. But Carter Shufflebine able to get on a knee and take out Jackson Dunn's line shot right there. So a really nice job by him, and that is going to be out number 1 in the top half of the 5th inning. Ian Stokes makes his way to the plate. Counts 1-0. J.J. Buchholz hot off the heels of that 2-run triple he gave up to Chris Logue in the top half of the 4th inning. You know that weighs heavy on any pitcher, especially one as good as Buchholz. But you just can't dwell on it. You got to put it behind you and keep on moving on. Places this one outside. That's a 3-0 count. Remember, he surrendered 2 walks in the top of the 4th to set up the game being tied. Gets a big strike here, count 3-1, and he'll need more of those against Ian Stokes, who has reached on a fielder's choice and popped one up to second in his 2 plate appearances so far. And that's ball 4. Wild pitch. And making his way on to first easily will be Ian Stokes. So a runner aboard.
Shortstop, number 20, Boston Bryant.
That'll send on Boston Bryant. So Stokes on to first as Bryant makes his way to the plate. He's flown out to right twice in this game, and he is customarily one of the better hitters that Sioux Falls West has at their disposal. Buchholz keeping a close eye at first. He's had a couple of close calls in this game. Here's a chopper on the right side, and that gets through for a base hit. Got right in the 4-3 hole between Shufflebine and Terwilliger, and runners on first and second for Sioux Falls West. So you knew sooner or later Boston Bryant would answer the call. That's exactly what he does here. Now 2 runners aboard in the top of the 5th. And Sioux Falls West all of a sudden in position to really carry that momentum over from the top half of the 4th and take control of this baseball game. By the way, this is KCCR Pierre, a Riverfront Broadcasting Station, 6:04 Central Time here in the capital city. There's a strike. Count goes to 0-1. Appreciate you listening in from wherever you may be tonight, whether it's South Dakota, Tennessee, North Carolina, Vermont, Washington, Vietnam, Cambodia, wherever you may be. We appreciate you joining in, and the reason I bring those up is because my brother was on a study abroad trip not that long ago to Cambodia and Vietnam. Had a really cool time, and he told me that he would recommend it to anyone who's interested. Here's a ball popped up on the left side into shallow left. Porter Hunsley wants it, and he does make the catch for a big out number 2. No understating how big that one is. You need any out you can get, especially with 2 runners on base, and that'll certainly help on Mason Payne. So Beckett Whitlock makes his way to the plate. 2 away 9 combined hits in this game now. And Whitlock, who's flown out to center and reached on a walk, getting his chance here to give Sioux Falls West their first lead in a good bit. Counts 1-0. J.J. Buchholz with 4 total strikeouts in this game so far. Here's a ball driven into right center, and Hunsley's able to navigate his way to the baseball and make the catch for out 3. So Sioux Falls West puts 2 runners aboard but can't capitalize, and the score remains deadlocked at 4 runs apiece. Back in 1 minute right here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports with a lot more to come.
Are you a farmer in the Highmore area? Do you need a trusted partner for your grain and agronomy needs? Look no further than AgTegra. AgTegra is built on a legacy of farmer-owned cooperatives, providing superior service and relentless innovation for generations. We're committed to your success and the safety of our employees and members. For your grain needs, call Chance Scott at 605-846-1099. And for all your agronomy needs, reach out to Cole Hamlin at 605-871-9572. AgTegra. Growing together for generations.
People helping people. Have you ever wondered what the benefits are of becoming a Owyhee Federal Credit Union member? At Owyhee Federal Credit Union, we reinvest profits in you. We do this in the form of lower interest rates, higher dividends, and low to no fees. So come check us out or come in at 221 East Pleasant Drive Pierre, because at Owyhee Federal Credit Union, we treat our members like they own the place because, well, they do. Owyhee Federal Credit Union.
Welcome back. This is Post 8 Baseball on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. Our scoreboard today courtesy of the American Family Insurance Brittany Shufflebine Agency. Thank you, Brittany and American Family Insurance, for sponsoring our scoreboard each and every game. Post 8 all tied up 4-4 with Sioux Falls West. That pitch comes in for a ball. Count goes to 1-0. Post 8 trying to get win number 13 on the season officially. Dawson gets to the plate. Here's a liner that gets past the second baseman, Hugh Barnes, and here comes Dawson, making his way on to first with a leadoff single here in the bottom of the 5th. And the leading run for Pierre is aboard. Barnes had a chance to collect that baseball, but couldn't get a handle on it. Ended up losing control of it, as Teddy Swims would say. And he's able to send Dawson gets on to first. Runner aboard here in the bottom of the 5th with Cooper Terwilliger at the plate. Terwilliger already with 2 singles. I was getting ready to say that Pierre's been awarded 4 consolation victories, or forfeit victories officially is the terminology, thanks to Sturgis forfeiting the 2 doubleheaders they were supposed to play against Pierre in June. So Pierre was awarded with all those wins, increasing their record to 12-9. Doesn't really change where they're at in the standings, but it does help their overall record improve. So that's why they've got the 12-9 mark officially. We don't expect any more forfeits this season unless there's any other extenuating circumstances, as that pitch is high for ball 3. Caden Voss now having kind of a similar issue to what J.J. Buchholz has had as of late, and that's potentially issuing walks, and he may be in danger of doing that against Cooper Terwilliger. Dawson gets, by the way, 3 for 3 today, and Terwilliger could join him if he can get on base with a hit right here. There's a strike, counts 3-1. Dawson gets, at some points this season, he's been a sleeping giant. At other points, he has made his presence very clearly felt, and today's been one of those days. Tied for the second best batting average on the team. Terwilliger gets one into left field for a base hit right along the third base line. Getz is racing his way to third. That ball's all the way in the corner. Getz wants to come home. He will, and Post 8 takes the lead. Jack Hilly couldn't dig the ball out of the left field corner. Cooper Terwilliger, I'm going to initially call that an RBI single, has given Post 8 a 5-4 lead here in this one. And what a dramatic turn of events it is. Terwilliger now 3 for 3 on the day with 3 singles. And now an RBI single to add to that catalog. He gets to second on the mishandled play by Jack Hilly, excuse me. And now with Charlie Simpson at the plate, post 8 on top 5-4. And that ended up working out perfectly. Terwilliger put it right in the perfect spot where it was just fair. Rolled all the way back towards the left field wall, and Hilly had to try to find a way to get to that baseball. Eventually found it, but then couldn't quite dig it out of the ground. The warning track made it a bit tougher to handle. That allowed not only Getz to score, but Terwilliger to get all the way to second. That's how you get the situation being what it is here. 5-4, Pierre on top. And now Charlie Simpson, who has yet to get a hit in this game, can change that with his third plate appearance. Struck out swinging and walked his first 2 times up. Simpson with a .386 average on the season, 7 RBIs, 9 total runs, 17 hits as well. The top batting average on this post-8 baseball team. He's been a bit quiet today, counts 1-1. But we said something about a sleeping giant in this frame. That may be what we're seeing here with Simpson. And keep in mind now that both Voss as well as Buchholz may be approaching their pitch limits as we find ourselves further and further into this game, counts 1-2. We'll try to get an official count on that in just a second, but you got to think at this juncture, both of these pitchers are getting close to exhausting all their options. Count 1-2, Voss has this one go right over his head. A softly hit ball into center field. Terwilliger wants to come home. He'll make it in time. And Charlie Simpson has an RBI single. Post 8 takes a 6-4 lead. Back-to-back RBI singles for Pierre. And Charlie Simpson, the man with the best batting average on post 8, makes his mark once again here in the bottom half of the 5th inning to put Pierre on top by an even greater margin. Ridge Leimbach will be the next man up as Pierre is in firm control, and it looks like Zach Evers is going to make his way out of the dugout. There is action in the Sioux Falls West bullpen. Don't believe this is going to be a pitching change, but we could see one very soon if things don't change for Caden Voss and this Sioux Falls West team. By the way, for his total pitch count, Voss is at 72, so he should still have some leeway. Buchholz will enter the top of the 6th at 74. Both pitchers not quite in that state where they've got to worry about being subbed out, but sooner or later they will approach that, especially if this game continues at its current pace. 7 hits for Pierre, 4 hits for Sioux Falls West in this game, 11 combined. If you like offense, this has certainly been a good one. Post 8 really lighting up the American Family Insurance Brittany Shufflebind scoreboard in this bottom half of the 5th right now. Still no outs. Runner on first, and you've got Ridge Leimbach on the way up. 3 straight hits for post 8 to start off this frame. Leimbach showing bunt, and the ball gets away from the first baseman on the pickoff attempt, and Simpson will get to second base standing up. Yet another botched pickoff attempt by Sioux Falls West. They've had plenty of those today, and it cost them once again. Now Simpson in scoring position as the ball flew over the head of Jackson Nordstrom. Leimbach was showing bunt. Now we'll see if he wants to change that. He pulls back from the bunt for now, counts 1-0 as the pitch is low by Voss. And the sense of control for Sioux Falls West is certainly eroding away. Voss with the 1-0. Check swing, it's in for a strike, counts 1-1. As Leimbach thought about it, decided at the last second it wasn't a good idea. Somewhat paid the price for it, but still has a 1-1, and that ball's in the dirt up over the head of the catcher, and that'll allow Simpson to make his way over to third base as Ian Stokes couldn't locate the baseball. Another wild pitch by Caden Voss, and that's become a bit of a familiar theme throughout this game. Post 8 has scored already once on a wild pitch and almost did it there. Counts 2-1, still no outs here. Ridge Limbach thrives in situations like these. That's ball 3. It's low and in the dirt. And now you got a 3-1 with no outs. Limbach can afford to be a little more aggressive here if he wants to be. That's what he's going to do. Drives one to right. Payne is back. He will make the catch, but tagging and scoring will be Charlie Simpson as he dashes his way to home plate. And Post 8 takes a 7-4 lead as Ridge Limbach gets the RBI sac fly. So Post 8 now on top by 3 runs. Sioux Falls West does finally manage that first out in the bottom of the 5th. Grayson Hunsley will make his way to the plate. He got the first RBI single of this game. That off-speed pitch comes in for a strike. Counts 0-1. And Pierre now with 7 hits and 7 runs total in this game. A lot of those coming off of Sioux Falls West mistakes. Pitches in for a strike, counts 0-2, but as of late, Pierre has just rounded into form and taken it to Sioux Falls West. The 0-2. Here's a softly hit chopper, bounces off the third baseman. Dunn cannot get it to first as he miscalculated the throw. Hunsley will make his way to second. Another error by Sioux Falls West. That's their 5th total of the game. It's going to be an E5 on Jackson Dunn. And Post 8 has a runner at second base off of it. So the bad times just continue for Sioux Falls West here as they continue with the self-inflicted mistakes. Jackson Dunn just unable to hold on to that baseball. Botched it, and then he had to rush the throw after he couldn't handle the initial bounce of the chopper. And it ended up costing him and his Sioux Falls West Post 15 team big time. Now Porter Hunsley at the plate. He has yet to record a hit, 0 for 2 so far today. Voss taking his time. The wind is picking up here at Hyde Stadium. That's certainly not helping these defenses on either side. Counts 1-0. Wind gusts are projected to be just at 21, but they feel a little bit higher than that right now. Counts 1-0. Voss, Sioux Falls West in need of a strikeout in a big way. Counts 1-1, really any out to just stop this stretch of pure momentum. 3 runs scored in the bottom of the 5th, just taking control of this baseball game. Voss, fastball, softly hit over to short. This could be a tough play. Throw to first is not going to be in time. Outrunning the throw was Porter Hunsley. He's on with a single. Runners on first and second for Pierre, as it was a hard play for Boston Bryant to make. Did what he could to get it to first in time. He could not. Trevor Rounds, the next man up. Runners at first and second for Pierre. Post 8. Rounds already has a double and 1 ground out in this game. Runs 8 and 9 are aboard for Post 8, still with just 1 out. Now Rounds looking to capitalize. Pitches high, counts 1-0. Trevor Rounds played in just 3 games for Post 8 last year. Made the most of his limited time with a .571 average. He has pitched 1 inning this year. Didn't have the best outing in that inning, but has put that behind him for an incredible stretch this year. Post 8 trying to get their first win of the season, believe it or not, at home. If you're just learning that info, they have not played a home game since May 29th, the opening doubleheader against Brookings. Factoring in cancellations and scheduling conflicts, that's the way it worked out. That's a strikeout on Rounds as he's caught looking by Voss. That's his 4th strikeout of the game. 2 away in the bottom of the 5th. And it's hard to believe that Pierre went the entire month of June without a home game, but that's the way it worked. Now Trevor Rounds at the plate, runners at first and second for the team in black. And they are intimidating like Dale Sr. here today. Counts 0-1. Carter Shufflebine is at the plate. He's been quiet by his standards today, 0 for 3 so far. Softly hit chopper, Dunn throws to first, and it's high again. That's the third time he's done that. One run's going to score. Stopping at third for Pierre will be Grayson Hunsley, or Porter Hunsley rather. Grayson Hunsley scores, and it's an 8-4 baseball game. My goodness, that's the third time Jackson Dunn has done that in just the last couple of innings, and Pierre able to capitalize once more to take an 8-4 lead. Sutton Sonnenschein will be the next man up. It's another E5 to put a runner aboard for Pierre, and you just got to wonder what the confidence level of Jackson Dunn is at this point in the game. Counts 0-1. That's just a play that looked like that ball slipped out of his hands. Just didn't have control. So Grayson Hunsley comes home. Porter Hunsley now in the hot corner. And you got runners at second and third for Pierre, with Carter Shufflebine at second. And now Sutton Sonnenschein and Pierre with two runners in scoring position, already with an 8-4 lead on Voss and Sioux Falls West. 7 total errors for Sioux Falls West in this game, which is just mind-boggling to really think about. You just do not see that happen a lot, and it's been mistake after mistake after mistake for Sioux Falls West that is going to really make them reflect on what they could have done differently in this game, and those mental errors that can just cost you so much. Counts 2-2 for Sutton Sonnenschein. Much like Shovelbein, he does not have a hit yet. And he's not going to change that yet as he ends up ducking that baseball. Counts 3-2. Almost made contact with him. A payoff pitch at 3-2 on the way with 2 outs. Pitch from Voss is in for a strike. So Voss does get the inning-ending K, his 5th. But it was an onslaught from Post 8 in the bottom half of the 5th inning. 4 runs scored on Sioux Falls West, an 8-4 lead here at home, and Pierre is just a total of 6 outs away from clinching their first home win of the season. Back in 1 minute, right here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports.
Most of us already know that Gales Gas of Pierre is the place to call for propane. They offer an automatic fill plan so you never have to worry about running out of propane. They accept debit and credit payments or a budget payment plan to spread out the costs throughout the year so you never have surprises when you get your bill. For delivery, convenience, and great customer service, call Gales Gas at 224-5518. That's Gales Gas at 224-5518.
Dakota Sprinkler and Landscaping wants to make it easy for you to get that lush green lawn and that yard haven that you've been dreaming of. Visit dakotasprinkler.com to make appointments for sprinkler system spring startup, service calls, fall winterization, and landscaping quotes. Trust Dakota Sprinkler and Landscaping's professionals to get you through the planning and installation to make your landscaping needs a reality. Visit dakotasprinkler.com today.
Welcome back to Pierre Post 8 Baseball on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. We've reached the top of the 6th here on your Riverfront Broadcasting Station. Pierre Post 8 on top of Sioux Falls West in Legion Baseball action on this July 1st. Post 8 trying to open up the month of July with a bang. J.J. Buchholz will watch this one be lifted into shallow right. Shovelbein chasing after it, but instead he's called off by Sutton Sonnenschein, who comes up to make the catch for out number 1. That was Jack Hilly, who was at the plate, unable to capitalize, and that's 1 down in the top of the 6th, just like that. Post 8 now just 5 outs away from their first win at home here in 2025, which is wild to think, but when you've only played 2 home games all year before now, it's kind of hard to have too many chances to do it, right? Off-speed pitch is high, counts 1-0. This is Jackson Nordstrom at the plate. He does have a single in this game. Once this pitch go by, it's in for a strike, counts 1-1. J.J. Buchholz at around 75 pitches now for the game. If everything goes according to plan, he should be able to finish this one out. Counts 2-1 here. Would take something pretty disastrous for him to get subbed out, unless it was just something that River Iverson wanted to do. Swing and a miss by Nordstrom. Counts 2-2. River Iverson enters today's game with a 22-39 record as a head coach. A lot of that coming from last year's team, but he is quickly improving that record with what he's done this season. This one softly hit, little roller to first, and just able to get to first in time was Terwilliger. Kind of took a couple of awkward steps, but was able to get the unassisted out on Jackson Nordstrom, and that is 2 down here in the top half of the 6th inning. Chris Logue will be the next man up, and it's been Chris oh no every time he's been up to the plate for Pierre Post 8. In his 2 trips so far, 2-run home run and a 2-run triple. He has been the Achilles heel for J.J. Buchholz in this game. It's been fortunate for him and Pierre that he's only had to see him a couple times so far because he's been a thorn in the side. Counts 1-0. It's certainly a breakout game from him, and under many other circumstances, he'd probably be the player of the game, and you could argue he still is, but it just hasn't translated to a lead for Sioux Falls West here. Counts 2-0. 4 RBIs, 2 extra base hits, being a home run and a triple. You'd think that would be enough to help lift your team to victory, but it's not been that kind of day for Sioux Falls West. He's been the only man who's driven in runs so far. And a one-man band can't win a Grammy in the world of baseball. Counts 2-2. 2 away. J.J. Buchholz has 4 strikeouts, looking for that big 5th one right here that would bring this game to the bottom of the 6th and get Pierre 1 step closer to victory. Floats it high. Counts 3-2. Payoff pitch on the way. 7 errors by Sioux Falls West in this game. It's been cataclysmic, for lack of a better term, defensively. Mistake after mistake after mistake. Not all of Post 8's runs have been unearned, but a lot of them have been, and it's been tough sledding. This is just fouled by Chris Lowe to keep the count full at 3-2. By the way, stay tuned after this game comes to a close. We'll have the KCCR Sports postgame show recapping game number 1 between Pierre Post 8 and Sioux Falls West right here from Hyde Stadium. Payoff pitch at 3-2. Buchholz dials up the fastball. Got him. He finally got his arch nemesis in this game. A strikeout looking on Chris Logue. K number 5 for Buchholz. And that'll send us to the bottom of the 6th. Post 8 maintains the 4-run lead, and they'll have a chance to add some insurance when we come back in 1 minute right here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports.
Hey you, are you at a job that is fulfilling, has good benefits to support you or a family today, and retirement goes down the road? If you just said no, listen up. CHS River Plains is hiring operations personnel, drivers, and custom applicators at several locations. These come with a knockout affordable benefit package for you and the whole family. Apply to a job with CHS River Plains and up your benefits straight up. To apply, visit us online at chsriverplains.com or stop in at one of our locations. CHS is an equal opportunity employer.
Larry Fry Heating and Cooling has a new name. Kruger Climate Systems has acquired Larry Fry Heating and Cooling, but it's still the same great service. Your friend Larry Fry is still a manager, and his dedication to providing you with outstanding service remains unwavering. The same quality products and services you have come to expect from Larry Fry Heating and Cooling will continue under the new leadership of Kruger Climate Systems. You can still reach us at 605-224-9548 or email us at ryan@krugercontracting.com. Kruger Climate Systems, your certified Trane and Mitsubishi dealer in Central South Dakota.
Welcome back. This is Post 8 Baseball on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. Game number 1 between Pierre Post 8 and Sioux Falls West Post 15 tonight from Hyde Stadium has been a good one for Pierre. On top by a score of 8-4. Thanks to Brittany Shufflebein and the American Family Insurance Brittany Shufflebein scoreboard for sponsoring our games each and every time. Post 8 trying to bring this one home for their first home win of the season. There is a new man on the mound for Sioux Falls West, and it looks like it's Hugh Barnes. So Barnes making his first appearance on the mound in this game, and that will mean that we will likely see some shifts for Sioux Falls West defensively. So we'll try to get all those for you as soon as we can. But as of right now, for Pierre Post 8, it's Dawson Getz, the number 3 man in the order, leading things off. He sends a ground ball through the left side. Shortstop Bryant feigns a throw, and he's not going to be able to even get rid of it. Dawson gets on to first. He's now 4 for 4 on the day, and I think if you're looking for a player of the game, you may just have a prime suspect in Dawson Getz. He's been a generator of offense all day long, and his electricity is overflowing. So the defensive shifts are as follows. Jackson Dunn moves to second base. Over at third now for Sioux Falls West is Noah McFarlane, who enters for the first time. Otherwise, everything remains the same. So you've got McFarlane at third, and Dunn is at second. So there was a shift there. Barnes, again on the mound, counts 1-0. But it doesn't matter who it is. Dawson Getz continuing to get hits, and Cooper Terwilliger already 3 for 3. He'd love to join that club as well. Counts 1-1. That would be 8 combined hits between just those two alone. Incredible stuff. We'll see if Terwilliger is able to do it. Cleanup man in the order, and he has been cleaning up Sioux Falls West so far. Pitch is low, counts 2-1. Terwilliger with 16 hits entering this game, now with 19 total. Getz with 20 total now on the season. Terwilliger, of course, had that 2-hit, 2 RBI double performance in Game 2 against Spearfish back on June 12th. No stranger to big days as that ball bounces off the cage here at Hyde Stadium. Keeps that ball from going right through a South Dakota State Capitol window. Counts 2-2. Taking his time is Barnes. This is softly hit and fouled to the left of the third base bag, keeping the count at 2-2. Post 8 trying to add some insurance against Sioux Falls West. And their chase for a win to start off the month of July here at Hyde Stadium. It's a beautiful day in the capital city. Had some severe weather this past weekend in parts of the listening area. Our thoughts go out to all those affected by the tornado that hit towards the Kadoka area. Our news director, Zach Nelson, had a great story on that this morning that you can check out on kccrradio.com. And for all things severe weather throughout the summer, stay locked into KCCR. We'll have it for you. Got some excellent live streams that we do our very best to ensure are high quality as Getz moves on to second, swing and a miss here by Cooper Terwilliger, and that's the first time that not only that he's been struck out in this game, but also isn't going to get a hit. So Caden Voss now with 6 Ks. Gets on to second. Charlie Simpson will make his way up. So Terwilliger will likely end his day 3 for 4 overall. Still not a bad day's work, and 7 combined hits between here and Dawson Getz, the number 3 and 4 men in the order. Not bad at all. Charlie Simpson, or Chuck as he's known by some, got a single his last time up. Getz biding his time at second. And Chuck lets it go by for ball 1, counts 1-0. Temperature is stabilized after it was rising pretty continuously around 5. Still in the high 80s though right now. Wind does make it feel a little bit better. Catcher Ian Stokes will have a conversation with Barnes. Count stays at 1-0. I think I mentioned that it was Voss a second ago who had the strikeout. That was actually Barnes. My apologies. Forgot to correct that on my scorebook. And Hugh Barnes, who was originally the second baseman, is now the pitcher. Jackson Dunn at second and Noah McFarlane at third. Due to the defensive shifts we saw. 1-0 pitch, wind ramping up. Pitch in the dirt, counts 2-0. And now with Caden Voss used up. You wonder who Sioux Falls West will go to in their second game of today's doubleheader. Only time will tell on that front. Barnes taking his time, just trying to keep Sioux Falls West in some realm of contention here. Here's a ground ball, left side, nice snag by McFarlane, throws to first, but it's not gonna be in time. It gets away from the first baseman, Nordstrom, and now coming home is Dawson Getz. That missed throw cost him big time. Getz slides in just in the nick of time. Comes up a little bit slow, hopefully he's okay. Doesn't seem to be 100% after that, but he was able to get in, and Post 8 makes it a 9-4 baseball game. Getting all the way to second on that play was Charlie Simpson. So it's going to be an E5, and that's another E5 to add to the collection, unfortunately, for Sioux Falls West in this game. There's been a lot of them, whether it's been Jackson Dunn or Noah McFarlane. It's happened. McFarlane did what he could to get that baseball to first. It was a tough throw, but he was unable to. Now Ridge Limbach to the plate. Simpson at second in scoring position. 9-4 Post 8 lead, pitch in the dirt. Counts 1-0. 10 hits for Pierre so far. It's just been batting practice here in the late stages of this game. Sioux Falls West has had no answer no matter what pitcher it's been. Check swing, and that's going to be called for a strike. Counts 1-1. They say that Limbach did go all the way around. The wind has somewhat died down after it reached a bit of a crescendo early on in this game. Counts 1-1. Barnes, it's in the dirt, and he gets away from the pitcher. Moving all the way on to third now will be Simpson, so a runner in the hot corner and a 2-1 count. There have been numerous times where that's happened today. Post 8 scored their first run of the game on a wild pitch, as a matter of fact, so it's nothing unusual for them. Eight errors for Sioux Falls West, which, if I'm not mistaken, that's the most that any of Pierre's opponents has given up this season or allowed. Here is a fly ball to center. Back is Whitlock, and he makes the catch for out number 2. Tagging and scoring for Pierre will be Charlie Simpson. He comes home, and it's now a 10-4 baseball game. Why not add a little more to the overall scorebook here? Two-way in this bottom of the 6th, and Limbach with his second RBI sac fly in this game. Flew out to right field the first time, flew out to center this time, so a 2 RBI day for him. 10-4 lead for Pierre. That'll send on Grayson Hunsley, who does have an RBI single in this game. First RBI secured by Pierre, counts 0-1. Post 8 yet again with a double-digit run performance. Don't always see it, but it's always special when it happens. Here's a chopper to third. McFarlane this time handles it cleanly and gets a nice sidearm throw to first for out number 3. So a 6-3 ends the top of the 7th, but Post 8 puts 2 more runs on the scoreboard, and they are 3 outs away from win number 1 at home in 2025. We'll be back in 1 minute right here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports to see if Post 8 can seal the deal.
Step up to the plate with Kathy Sunshine Properties in Pierre, your go-to for buying, selling, and finding your perfect home. Whether you're looking for a cozy cottage or a spacious family home, Kathy Sunshine Properties has you covered. We're committed to helping you make your next big move, on the field or in your life. Ready to find your dream home? Call Kathy Sunshine Properties at 605-224-5588. Your home run in real estate.
AGE Corporation has been building South Dakota for over 60 years. For all your site work, construction, and crane needs, AGE is there for you. If you need a boat dock and dock lighting, AGE has what you need. Visit their website, agecorp.com, or give them a call at 223-2732. AGE Corporation, providing high-quality services without sacrificing safety. Visit agecorp.com or call 223-2732.
Welcome back. This is Post-A Baseball on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. Dylan Simmons on the call with you this afternoon. It's a great day at the ballpark here for Pierre Post-8 on top 10-4 over Sioux Falls West. This game was tied at 4-4 not that long ago to start off the bottom half of the 5th inning, but the times, they are a-changing, and they have changed for J.J. Buchholz and company. He's already got an 0-2 count here on Hugh Barnes to start things off in the bottom half, or rather top half of this 7th inning. And he's going to get a strikeout. Barnes got uber aggressive, and it cost him. And Buchholz now with 6 Ks in this game, 1 down in the top of the 7th, and Post-8 now just 2 outs away from getting win number 1 in today's doubleheader. We go back to the top of the order with Sioux Falls West. Buchholz goes off speed, and the count is going to be at 0-1. Sioux Falls West running out of time and running out of possibilities here. Dunn lets it go by, counts 1-1. This game was very much even not that long ago, as I mentioned, but this late stage of the game has just completely turned that around. Counts 2-1. 6 combined runs for Post-8 in the 5th and 6th alone. 4 in the 5th, 2 in the 6th. This ball popped up. Going to stay in the infield. Terwilliger wants it, and he makes the catch for out 2. Dunn retired, and that will send on Ian Stokes, who could end up being the last batter of this game and the last hope for Sioux Falls West. Stokes did reach first last time on a wild pitch. Ian Stokes has also reached on a fielder's choice, pop one up to second. Does not have a hit yet in this game. That's in for a strike, counts 0-1. J.J. Buchholz looking for yet another complete game. He's had plenty of those this season, and why not add another to the collection? It's almost unfair, the standard that he's held to. Best ERA on the team. One of the most solid guys when it comes to just being consistent on the mound, and you almost expect him to just be able to go coast to coast in a game. It's hard to hold any pitcher to that standard, but Buchholz has been able to do it all year long. That pitch just outside, counts 1-2. Having that kind of reliability, well, it's nothing short of massive, and Post-8 incredibly fortunate and glad to have a guy like J.J. Buchholz on the mound as he places this one high, counts 2-2. Post-8 has been very clean today as far as their defense. No errors yet to Sioux Falls West 8. That may be the story of the game, as they're going to rule that as ball 3. So a little bit of a peculiar ruling. Thought that one did make it in the zone, but they ruled it didn't. So instead of payoff pitch, Buchholz will try again. Looking to wrap this up. Fastball's high. That's ball 4. So not done yet. J.J. Buchholz with a rare walk issued here in the top of the 7th inning. Boston Bryant will be the next man up. He does have a single in this game. He's also flown out to right twice, and there's one guy outside of Chris Logue who could send one over the fence for this Sioux Falls West team. It's this guy. Definitely has the power underneath the hood. Buchholz will have to be aware of that. That ball skips away from the catcher Simpson, and advancing on to second will be Ian Stokes. So Stokes now in scoring position with 2 outs and a 1-0 count. Still far from a troublesome situation for Buchholz, but you just don't want to give Sioux Falls West anything easy right here, and I'm sure he doesn't want to give up any more runs if he can help it. Here's a high chopper over to second. Shovelbein is not going to be able to get it to first in time. Kind of waited on that baseball to get there, and Boston Bryant is going to be awarded with a single. Able to get on to first base, and runners in the corners here for Sioux Falls West with 2 down. So they're not going quietly into the night right now. They're giving Post-8 all they can handle here at this juncture. Catcher Charlie Simpson will have a conversation with Buchholz. sure both of them just want to wrap this thing up and, if at all possible, get this thing to the next game. River Iverson making his way out, and looks like Buckholtz Day is going to come to an end. And that would shock me if he's reached the pitch limit, but he may have. We'll take a look real quick. He has actually reached the pitch limit. And that's a pretty big shocker because he was pretty far away from that to start the 6th. But this extended frame in the top of the 7th has changed that. So he's going to come up 6 2/3 innings pitched total. He's going to be a third of an inning short from a complete game performance. That's got to be a big pain, but sometimes that's the way it goes. 6 strikeouts, gave up 4 earned runs, 4 walks issued. Not a bad day's work, but just couldn't get the complete game performance. Not the end of the world, but for Buckholtz, I'm sure he's going to be somewhat disappointed, especially since he's been able to go coast to coast in a lot of games this season, but this won't be the case this time. So to try to get the final out of this game, it looks like Post 8 is going to call on the services of Dawson Getz. So Getz was playing shortstop. We'll see what that means for the defensive alignment of Pierre. I mentioned it earlier in the game, but Getz does have a small amount of pitching experience this season. 6 2/3 innings pitched, a 1-0 record, 7 strikeouts, and a 6.30 ERA. So we'll see who takes over for Getz as the shortstop. But Getz certainly knows his way around a mound, and he can make this situation work. Of course, you don't need much. You just need 1 out any way you can get it at this point. It would take a monumental turn of events to have Sioux Falls West get anywhere close to making this competitive late. If they do, it's going to be on the back of Mason Payne. Boston Bryant at first, Ian Stokes at third, and Carter Shufflebine moves to third, or rather to short, and Hudson Stosher is going to come in at second. First time we've seen Stosher today. He's been known to play second base this year, and he's going to take over in that spot right here towards the end of the game. Mason Payne does not have a hit yet, has reached on a walk so far. He's also grounded out to short and popped one up to center. Strikes in here, counts 0-1. Getz needs just 2 more. Nice off-speed pitch to start things off. Looks very comfortable so far on the mound, but not for long, as there's a drive into left center field that's going to bring in a run. Coming home is Stokes, and that'll make it a 10-5 baseball game. Runners on first and second for Sioux Falls West. 2-out RBI single for Mason Payne, and he does get his first hit of the game. It's a 5-run contest, and now we've got Beckett Whitlock on. Lefty batter, and Simpson wants to talk things over with Dawson Getz. So Stokes scores. Bryant is at second. Mason Payne is at first. And Beckett Whitlock, man at the plate, trying to extend this game for this pesky Sioux Falls West team that refuses to go away. Getz fastball, heats it up, puts it in for a strike. Counts 0-1. That was a really nice low fastball by Getz. Wind's picking up a little bit. Seems to be blowing a bit more towards the west right now, which could make it tougher for Getz as he places this one high. Counts 1-1. Getz fires in a fastball. It's softly hit to short. This is going to be a tough play, and the ball bounces away from the first baseman, Cooper Terwilliger. A run's going to score for Sioux Falls West. Coming home is Boston Bryant, and advancing to third is Mason Payne. Safe at first is Beckett Whitlock. So it is a 10-6 baseball game, and again, Sioux Falls West strikes with 2 outs. That's going to be an E6 on post 8, and usually that would be Dawson Getz in that position, but because he's now the man on the mound, the man making that play was Carter Shufflebine, and a bit out of position and ends up kind of struggling for it. Counts 1-0, and what was a 6-run game has become a 4-run game rather quickly. And 2 runners on base here. If Jack Hilly can put a pretty good charge into this, we've got a interesting situation. Here's a liner that bounces off the second baseman. Hudson Stosher can't handle it, and a run scores for Sioux Falls West. My goodness, Mason Payne comes home. Beckett Whitlock to second, and now Jack Hilly able to bring in a run. That's an E4. 10-7. It's a 3-run game, and Sioux Falls West is charging hard here in the back half of this game. So Jackson Nordstrom to the plate. Remember, he already has a single in this game. And that was against Buchholz. Counts 0-1, and who knew that losing J.J. Buchholz as late as they did would be such a tough thing for Post 8, but it is right now. Trying to close this thing out with Getz, and that'll help. He gets a strike, counts 0-2. Needs just one more to put a stamp on this one. Fans getting loud here at Hyde Stadium. Getz 0-2 pitch. Here's a drive into center field for yet another base hit, and the bases will be juiced for Sioux Falls West. The second single of the game for Jackson Nordstrom. And I think River Iverson sooner or later may have to consider making some amends to the pitching situation for Post 8. He's staying in the dugout right now, but Dawson Getz is having issues with the Sioux Falls West lineup. The bases are loaded, and the tying run is at first base for Sioux Falls West. A game that was basically over. It was 10-4 entering the top of the 7th. All of a sudden, Sioux Falls West, and by the way, they've done all this damage with 2 outs. So this has all been with Dawson Getz basically at the mound that this has happened, and that's not to criticize Getz, it's just pointing out the situation Post 8's in. And now you've got Chris Logue, who's been ultra dangerous at the plate as the count goes to 0-1. Or check it, that's actually Noah McFarlane, they've moved over to the plate in this situation, and that ball almost got away from Simpson. He has to go back for it. Finally does. So now you've got McFarlane in, and I wonder why he's there in that situation, because Logue is the DH and has been your best hitter all game, so why McFarlane's in the 8th spot is not exactly a certain thing for me. Swing and a miss, and that's strike 2. Count is 1-2. McFarlane with his first at-bat of this game, and Dawson Getz now with a prime opportunity to potentially strike him out and maybe end this one. Can Getz finally bring this one to a close right here? 1-2. This is just foul by McFarlane to keep the at-bat alive, keep the count at 1-2. Post 8 fans and Sioux Falls West fans alike sitting on pins and needles right now. It's a tense moment here at Hyde Stadium in the top of the 7th. Getz fastball, heated it up and brought it in for a strikeout. And that will do it for game number 1 between Post 8 and Sioux Falls West. They did it the hard way in the bottom half of the 7th, but Post 8 is able to claim the victory by a score of 10-7 thanks to an incredible offense, another great pitching day by J.J. Buchholz, and a costly amount of Sioux Falls West errors, 8 in total. It's enough to lead to a 10-7 Post 8 win. Believe it or not, their first home win of the season, but it's a great feeling for Post 8. What a great way for them to start the month of July, and they are riding high as their record improves to 13-9 on the season. And we got a lot more to come on this Game 1 victory. In just 2 minutes' time, we'll have the KCCR Sports postgame show right here on KCCR and on the KCCR Sports YouTube channel. Don't miss it, folks. Back in 2 as Post 8 wins 10-7.
As community bankers, BankWest employees are deeply committed to supporting local causes, growing the local economy, and creating local opportunities. At a time when you can bank anywhere, we hope you choose BankWest. We'll be your financial partner for the long haul, helping you and your community achieve financial success. BankWest. Convenient, connected, committed. Member FDIC.
Wagner Auto in Pierre has been hitting home runs for over 100 years, delivering quality vehicles and top-notch service to our community. Whether you need a rugged truck, a dependable SUV, or a fuel-efficient car, we've got the perfect lineup to keep you on the road. Proud sponsor of this season's baseball action, we're here to help you drive home a great deal. Stop by today or visit WagnerAuto.com. Wagner Auto, South Dakota's oldest auto dealer.
Hello, I'm Pastor Jeff Lathrop of Pierre First United Methodist Church, and I'd like to invite you to join us in person for worship on Sunday mornings at 8:30 a.m. or 11 a.m. You can also join us on Facebook Live or on KCCR 1240 a.m. or 98.9 FM for our Sunday morning broadcast at 11 a.m. Come worship with us at First United Methodist Church, where you will find open hearts, open minds, and open doors.
When you're in town for the big game, why not stay where the view is just as great as the action? American in Fort Pierce sits right on the river, offering beautiful scenery, relaxing comfort, and easy access to the ballpark. After a day at the Diamond, there's nothing better than unwinding by the water, and the American always hits it out of the park. Stay by the river. Stay in comfort. Call 605-223-2358 to book your room today. American, where the river meets relaxation. Welcome back to Post 8 Baseball on KCCR, and like your favorite team, my apologies. We deliver reliability, strength, and top-notch performance. For over 100 years, Overhead Door has been the most respected name in the industry. From commercial or residential repairs to full upgrades, our team of technicians stand ready to provide winning results. Don't let a faulty garage door strike you out. Look for the signature red ribbon and call the industry MVP at 605-224-6200. Bring your garage door game to the big leagues. All right, for real this time. Welcome back to Post 8 Baseball on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. Guess I mistimed that commercial break, but we're glad you're joining us here on this Tuesday evening. Post 8 wins by a score of 10-7 over Sioux Falls West in game number 1. First game of July, and it was a fun one. Pretty evenly matched throughout the first 5 innings or so of the game, but it was in that bottom of the 5th where things really began to change. Pierre putting up 4 runs in that frame, 2 more in the bottom of the 6th to take a 10-4 lead. Sioux Falls West would make it tough late with 3 runs scored on Dawson Getz, who had to come in for the final out late in the top of the 7th, but it would not be enough to overcome the lead that Post 8 had already built up. They come away with the win 10-7. Let's take a look at some post-game stats. For our pitchers today, Caden Voss was the man on the mound for most of the game for Sioux Falls West. 5 innings pitched, 3 earned runs given up, 8 runs total, so a lot of those runs were unearned, and a lot of those were the fault of his defense, not him himself. Not a bad day for the pitcher, but just didn't quite have enough to match with J.J. Buchholz, who goes 6 2/3, 6 earned runs given up, 6 strikeouts, and a very solid day indeed. Even though the 6 earned runs may make it seem like it was worse overall, it really wasn't a bad day at all for Buchholz. Still pretty good compared to pretty good overall considering what he usually does, and almost went for a complete game once again. Meanwhile, as far as the bats go in this game, Post 8 had domination from Dawson Getz and Cooper Terwilliger. They each get 3 hits in this game, 3 runs for Getz scored, 2 for Terwilliger. As far as RBIs go, they each were able to get 1. Actually, no, Getz did not have an RBI in this game. Charlie Simpson did, though. He also had 2 hits and 2 runs in this game. Ridge Linebaugh ends up with 2 RBI sac flies as well. And Grayson Hunsley had an RBI single early on in this one to help Post 8 to this win. Meanwhile, for Sioux Falls West, 2 hits from Boston Bryant, 2 hits as well from Jackson Nordstrom. But their player of the game, no doubt, was Caden Logue, ending up with 4 RBIs in this game, or Chris Logue, I should say. 4 RBIs in this game, 2 hits, 1 an RBI triple, and 1 a 2-run home run over the right field seats. but it was not enough to overcome the Pierre offensive onslaught late, and there are 10 total hits in this game, 9 for Sioux Falls West. Total of 10 errors, 8 by West and 2 by Post 8. So from that end, a little bit of a sloppier game, but still a fun game overall, and a good one to be a part of right here on KCCR Pierre, a Riverfront broadcasting station, as we've reached the top of the 7 o'clock hour. It's been a fun one so far, and we're not done. The second half of our doubleheader will kick off in about 30 minutes or so, so make sure you stay tuned for that. We're going to end the Game 1 stream on YouTube for now. We'll stay live on KCCR with commercial breaks and then KCCR News, so make sure you stay tuned for all of that and more. We've also got a special ceremony in between games that we'll make sure to broadcast live on the YouTube stream, so make sure you don't miss out on all of that. KCCR time, 7 o'clock once again. We will see you for game number 2 in just a bit. Post 8 wins game number